comes to sociosexual dynamics, one thing that people need to understand is like this whole independent thing, right? And this isn't something just women do. Men do this as well, right? What people often do is they get to a place where they do not trust their natural inclination, their natural level of masculinity or femininity for their respective gender, right? And because they don't trust their level in that, they're going to, instead of maxing out that, instead of getting to a place where they're proficient in that, what many people do, and this is what society teaches us, and I've done this myself, is they will start to adopt aspects of the other sex, of the other gender, of the other masculinity or femininity that's the opposite of theirs, and they're going to try to integrate that before it's time. So this is what I mean. So like, let's say as a woman, you're like, okay, well, you may not be attractive enough, you may not be feminine enough to get a masculine man. So what you're going to do is you're going to start trying to become as independent as possible so that no man can control you, right? Or you're going to get to a place where you're trying to get as independent as possible. You're going to try to get as, not just independent, but really that's what it is. You're going to try to learn all you can, get all the knowledge, learn everything a man knows, so that you can stand your own, right? Now, what happens in these instances is you're still not going to be able to get a quality man above your level of femininity. You're not. So by getting more and more into your masculine energy, you're going to make yourself more and more compatible with a beta male, right? Because a masculine man, there's different levels of masculinity. If your level of masculinity, your knowledge makes it so that a man has nothing to teach you, then he has nothing to offer you, right? You're putting yourself in a position where you're like, okay, well, I'm not that sexual and I have my own knowledge. I know stuff. I got my own money. A man has no use for you. You are useless, right? Unless you find a beta male who doesn't have vision and purpose for his own life. Unless you find a man who is feminine in his own energy and looking for a mother or looking for a man to take care of him. Unless that's what you're doing, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You have to know how to not step into somebody else's lane, right? I think that, one thing that can help is just having a certain baseline level of understanding when it comes to integrating the other sex's energy so that you won't get needy, or so that you won't jump at the first opportunity that gives you that ability without actually vetting the person out to see if they're a quality person. So it's like as a woman, right? So an example of this would be like sex toys and masturbating, right? So as a woman, you can make sure that you have a certain level of being able to pleasure yourself physically so that you don't jump at every opportunity of a man who you're sexually attracted to. And that's good because that can help you from cheating on a man when you're in a relationship. It can help. That's some real shit. But you know what else will happen? If you get to the point where you feel like you do not need a man sexually to reach your peak level of desire and of pleasure, then what will often happen is if you do not maintain the motivation through discipline, or like if you don't have the discipline in order to make sure you're taking care of a man physically, then you're going to begin to neglect that man sexually because you don't need it. Or you're going to begin to hold sex over his head in one way or another. Or you're going to make that man not feel desired. He's going to cheat on you with the woman who actually desires him. Something to think about. Now, men do the same thing. I did this when I was younger. I was maybe in high school, and I listened to society's narratives about how relationships should work. And I put a lot of time and effort into learning how to communicate effectively. I put a lot of time and effort into understanding emotional intelligence. I put a lot of effort into just knowing how to groom myself and all these different things that are important. These are important things. And when you do that, oftentimes you're going to intimidate women because most people are integrated. So let's say you're a man and you cook real good, you clean real good. These are all important things. You should have these things. But if you cook, clean, take care of yourself, there's nothing that a woman can do to offer anything to you. Then for most women that you're going to meet, they're going to be intimidated by that. And oftentimes the women who are going to be compatible with you are going to be women who are more masculine because they don't want to deal with a man who wants those things from them, right? So you want to, have a certain baseline level of knowing what you're doing. And sometimes you can teach that to the other person. But once you don't max out your masculinity as far as your sex game, your sex appeal, and your masculinity, your program, knowing how to run a situation, then when you try to integrate these other things in, all you're doing is making yourself like knowing how to, like, let's say you just learn how to be very vulnerable, learn how to be emotional. You learn these things, and what you're going to do is you're going to step into a woman's lane so that when you meet a woman, you're going to think everything's cool. You're like, all right, yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to do that. But then she's going to feel like, damn, nigga, like, when am I going to get a chance to be the woman? Right? When am I going to get a chance to be in my feminine energy, to be emotional with you? You already beat me there. You know how to do this better than I do. What am I here for? Right? So it's just one of those things where maybe before you get into a situation, it's good to have a certain baseline understanding of the opposite genders energy and roles, so that you can take care of yourself, so that you don't jump at the first opportunity without vetting the person out. But when you go overly into stepping in someone else's lane without being maxed out in your own gender, without being maxed out in your own gender to the point where you can find a quality person for that purpose specifically, then you're just setting yourself up to be with someone who's also wrongly integrated. This is something that's important to understand. Like as a man, and it's something I learned and I figured it out. I put this in my own life. I tried it out in different ways. When I realized this is what I was doing, and a lot of people won't agree with this, but I took a step back from certain things that I used to do that caused me to feel like I was more integrated, to make me feel like I was well rounded. But really, I wasn't maxed out and I wasn't at a certain place in my masculinity to where I could attract a quality woman on those laurels alone. So I took a step back. I took a step back from trying to go out of my way to groom myself. Look, I'm not saying I be stank. No, I wash my ass. I wash my ass. But I'm just saying I may have put on some more sweatpants. I may have been a little bit more rugged in my appearance. I may have took a little bit less care of certain things. And one thing I noticed is that when I did that, there would be women who would come around, and their idea would be they wouldn't come around and they would look at you. A woman will watch you from a distance. If a woman's attracted to you, a woman from a distance will watch you and then think of ways she could come into your life and make it better. See, that's a feminine woman. A feminine woman will watch. And she's like, yeah, this man is sexy. This man is kind of rugged. I could polish him up. Or this man has these ideas. I feel like he could use an assistant. I feel like I could be a helpmate. If there's nothing that a woman can help you with, then why the fuck do you need a woman for? Honestly, what do you need a woman for? Just for companionship? Companionship's cool, I guess. But you need to have something that you can give a woman assignments. You need to have something that she can do. As a woman, if you take care of every single thing by yourself, you never let a man pay for anything, you never let a man do anything to help take care of you, then he's going to feel like, why am I here? Right? Like if a woman's mindset is she doesn't need a man sexually, he's going to be like, why am I here? Why do you want me here? The person is not going to be able to trust you. They're not going to be able to trust you because everything they feel like they could bring to the table, you already have it. It's like if a woman feels like she knows every fucking thing and she can't, feels like there's nothing that a man can teach her, you're in your masculine energy. So most men who would have a certain level of masculinity that would be compatible with your level of femininity, you raised your level of masculinity, you think that that was going to entitle you to a higher level of masculinity. It didn't entitle you to a higher level of masculinity in a man. All it did was make you more compatible with a man who was more feminine, and then also raise the level of the masculinity that you would need in a man in order to be satisfied. Likewise with a man. So it's like as a woman, let's say you go out of your way to just learn your body when it comes to masturbating and getting all these different sex toys. What you do is you get yourself to a place where you don't quote unquote need a man for sex. But now in order for a man to pleasure you enough for you to become sexually submissive with him, he's going to have to do better than all them sex toys you got. It's not impossible. It's not impossible at all. But there may be a man who is more compatible with your level of femininity, who you're going to come in contact with, and he hasn't spent as much time on his sex game itself, and he may not be as blessed as your sex toys. He may not be as skilled as your Rose or your Jackrabbits and all those other things. So now you're not really wowed by him sexually. You're not really impressed. So it's going to limit your ability to be naturally submissive with him. Likewise, a man may know how to take care of himself so well that when he meets a woman, she may be trying her best. She may be compatible to his level of masculinity with her femininity based off of the reciprocal analogies, based off of the sexual polarity. But because this man cooks so well, this man cleans so well, this man is so emotionally intelligent that there is nothing that this woman can do to make his situation better. This man is so good at processing his own emotions, which is a good thing. You should have that. But the man is so good at understanding emotions that when a woman comes into the situation and tries to comfort him, and a woman comes into a situation and tries to be a helpmate, or a woman comes in a situation and tries to improve his situation, there's nothing she can do to improve it because it's already done. So then she feels like, what am I doing here? She doesn't feel needed. She doesn't feel wanted. She doesn't feel useful, right? You have to set out and carve out certain areas in your life where, let's say after you reach a certain point in your masculinity. So as a man, let's say that you're a masculine man and you're getting to that point. And when you get to that point, now you have all your money, now you have your looks, your money, your status, you have those different things. You know, sometimes you can take a step back from the things that you used to do, from an integrated place, so that your woman feels like she actually has something useful to do. You know, you let her take care of the house, you let her take care of the cooking, the cleaning, you let her take care of certain things, so she's not being idle, right? And as a woman, you know, you get to a certain place where you're like, okay, cool, now I have this man, and now that I have this man, you know, I can take care of myself, but I don't go overboard with it. You know, the quality of life that he wants to give me is one that I'm satisfied with. So you're like, okay, cool. You know, as I get to know this man some more, I'm going to let him take care of more things financially. I'm going to let him, uh, you know, take care of certain. I'm going to let him fix certain things around the house. I'm going to let him, you know, maybe take my car to go get the oil change, or change it for me, or change my tire for me, or do certain things that are masculine in nature. And as a woman, when you allow those things to happen, it's going to raise your attraction for that man. But when you have this mindset where every single thing you need, you know how to do it by yourself, and there's nothing that a man who is reciprocal to your level of femininity can provide for you, then you're going to put yourself in a situation where you aren't satisfied, or you aren't wowed by that individual enough to create a natural desire for submissiveness. And then you're just going to put yourself in a situation where the only men who will be compatible with you are men who are not on that level. Now, check this out. Now, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, right? Now, for a woman, when you have this mindset, when you're in this position, the only man who's going to be truly sexually compatible with you is a man who is hyper masculine, hypersexual. And just like Alan Roger Curry said, there's, you know, alpha males with, you know, complete alpha males, and there's alpha males with beta traits, and then there's beta males with alpha traits, right? Now, in this type of situation, you're only going to be sexually compatible with the alpha male of alpha males, but your energy is too masculine for you two to be compatible. So you're going to constantly butt heads. You're only going to be a fuck buddy to him. You're going to be nothing else. And for a man, when you have this type of situation where you haven't maxed out your masculine energy, then you'll be in a position where you're going to be great friends with the women that you're dealing with. Great friends. You're going to get along excellently. You know what I mean? But when it comes time for you to put your foot down to excel in your masculinity, when it comes time for you to really want to step into your dominant sexual energy, the woman's just not going to be impressed with you like that, right? You're going to need a woman who maybe has very low experience, right? You have the emotional intelligence to maybe deal with a woman who has more experience, but you're going to need a woman who doesn't have a lot of experience, or who's very sexually open, or very sexually responsive, in order for you to be able to overstep those boundaries. But check this out. This is where it gets interesting, right? When it comes to these type of dynamics, the person that hyper masculine or hyper feminine person is able to be compatible with, they have the options of actually being compatible with someone who has maxed out their own masculinity or femininity. So as a man, you're going to need a woman who is extra feminine, right? Extra feminine. But that extra feminine woman is naturally going to be compatible on not only a sexual front, but on a non-sexual front with the man who is hyper masculine. So you're going to be in a situation where you're going to feel insecure, or maybe inadequate, because she is going to have experiences with men who are hyper masculine. And those hyper masculine experiences are ones that you're probably not going to be able to meet up to. Probably not going to be able to measure up to those experiences. She may love you. If she's integrated, she may put that shit to the side, or she may genuinely feel that way about you. But when you see those experiences that she's had with those other men who are more masculine, it's going to put into light the mistakes that you've made in your own mindset, and you're going to be feeling secure. Likewise, you know, those women who need to be sexually compatible, who are only sexually compatible with hyper masculine men, those hyper masculine men have a plethora of options of women who are not only sexually interested in them and sexually compatible, but they're even more sexually receptive. They're even more feminine. So you're going to be at the bottom of the list. So just understand, when it comes to integrating, you need to max out your masculinity or femininity before you integrate the other sex's energy into your personality, into your dating strategies. Because when you don't, you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're prematurely integration. So I think I'm going to call this video Premature Integration. The premature integration of masculine and feminine energies.